but I had no choice in the matter. I mean, writers don't really have a choice in the matter. They have to do what they have to do. They have to write what they have to write. It's so much about the unconscious. Unconscious. It's so much about what is not what you can't really put into words. It's so much about emotions and thoughts that you have no words for, and yet the words emerge. That's where writing comes from. You don't understand what you're going to write about, but then you begin writing, and it has coherence, right, in the writing of it, but it doesn't have coherence before that.
When you found yourself writing in Italian, did you think what's happening? Were you surprised, or that's just not your style? You're like, there it is, I'm writing in Italian.
Oh, no, I had no idea what was happening. And I was completely disoriented, and I just really didn't understand, but I had no choice in the matter. I mean, writers don't really have a choice in the matter. They have to do what they have to do. They have to write what they have to write. It's so much about the unconscious. Unconscious. It's so much about what is not what you can't really put into words. It's so much about emotions and thoughts that you have no words for, and yet the words emerge. That's where writing comes from. You don't understand what you're going to write about, but then you begin writing, and it has coherence, right, in the writing of it, but it doesn't have coherence before that. And so I started writing in my diary in Italian. I didn't tell anybody. I was sort of mortified and embarrassed and disturbed by it. I didn't know what was happening. I felt very lost. I felt very scared, but I couldn't stop. And eventually I stopped, and I took stock of what was going on. And I thought, well, why is this happening? Why is this happening? And so the questioning of it was what led me to the reflections that became that first book in Italian, in other words, to try to understand what would drive me to do this, right? But it's only after the writing that one can have any perspective. Certainly not before, and often not during, at least for me.
And you said something to me the other day, which I was just so struck by. You said when you're sitting in Princeton, you do your translation work, or the introduction to something, kind of a review or whatever it is, but the creative work, the poetry, the novels, the short stories, all now happen when you are in your home in Rome. As if in some ways, it's extraordinary. It's like your life, your mind, your psyche has bifurcated. It has this, these two worlds completely. I mean, to me, that's just, amazing. I mean, that you're kind of embracing this, and you go through this, and you also sort of said to me that you're now completely immersed in literary life in Italy. You're on the board of a literary magazine. You write regularly in their papers. Do you feel in a way that you're more involved and you're more immersed in literary life in Italy than you ever were while you were in the States? I mean, is there a Jhumpa? I don't mean humanly. I mean, I'm sure there is, but I just even mean as the writer, the literary writer, because I've always, as long as I've known you as a publisher and editor, I've known you as someone who was very private, who didn't like speaking about her writing very much. You didn't like readings. You really, once the book had come out, you wanted to step back inside. You feel much more out of your shell now in Italy. Have I got that right?
In some sense, yes. I mean, it's a much smaller world, right? It's a smaller literary community. Um, but I have been, I'm astonished by how welcoming it's been. I'm astonished by how much a part of that community I've been made to feel in these recent years, and I think it represents the best of Italy. Every country has its problems. Every country has um, its issues, right? And its hostilities and its ways of putting up walls and not welcoming the other. And Italy is not free of that. In fact, it's very complicated right now by these questions, and I look at them very carefully. I think about them very deeply. I think about what it means. All of the questions I've been thinking about all my life about identity and belonging and the foreigner and integrating and or not. These are the questions that have shaped my life. I'm the daughter of immigrants.
If you've enjoyed the conversation that you just heard, do subscribe to our channel for much more.